Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well today. Today's video is about how to train your brain to become sharper, more focused, and better at learning. It explains that the brain is plastic. It can change and grow with practice, attention, sleep, movement, and good habits. Small, consistent actions like focused practice, proper rest, healthy food, managing stress, and reflection strengthen memory, skills, and creativity. The story emphasizes persistence, curiosity, and deliberate effort as keys to long-term improvement, showing that steady, mindful choices today shape a stronger, more capable brain for tomorrow. The brain is not a fixed machine. It is alive, soft, and always changing. It grows and shrinks. It learns and forgets. This is not a myth. This is the reality of how human minds work. For young people who want to be sharper, calmer, and more creative, understanding how the brain changes is the first step. This story explains that reality in clear, simple words. It is written for learners of English and for anyone who wants to know how to train their brain. Think of the brain like a garden. Seeds are thoughts and habits. Water and sun are experiences. The soil is daily life. If a person plants the same seed every day, the plant grows stronger. If the person leaves the garden wild, weeds take over. The brain works in a similar way. When you use a skill often, the connections that support that skill become stronger. When you stop using a skill, those connections become weaker. This changing quality of the brain is called plasticity. Plasticity means the brain can form new paths and prune old ones. It is the reason practice matters. It is the reason change is possible. Training the brain is not a single event. It is a long process. It is a series of small choices. Each choice moves the brain in a direction. The choices that matter are simple and ordinary. They include paying attention, practicing, sleeping, moving, and reflecting. The science shows that when these choices happen again and again, learning becomes easier and memory lasts longer. Attention is the gatekeeper of learning. If the mind is not paying attention, little learning happens. You can sit in a room with a book and still learn little if your mind is elsewhere. Attention is also limited. The brain cannot focus deeply on many things at once. That is why focus time beats busy time. A short period of clear attention gives more lasting change than many distracted hours. To train attention, design moments that remove distractions. Put a phone out of sight. Close tabs that are not needed. Tell others you are not to be disturbed. Create a single task for the session. These small choices let the brain use its focus for the right work. Practice is where change grows. Practice does not mean repeating without thought. Meaningful practice means working on slightly hard tasks that push your current skill. This kind of practice is sometimes called deliberate practice. It requires a clear goal and honest feedback. The most powerful practice mixes challenge and repeat. If the task is too easy, the brain does not need to change. If the task is too hard, the brain cannot find a path to success. The sweet spot is hard enough to be uncomfortable, but not so hard that the brain gives up. Over time, small pushes in that area build big skill. Sleep is the silent trainer. Many people think practice alone builds skill. That is wrong. Sleep helps the brain store what happened during the day. During sleep, the brain replays experiences and cleans out noise. Deep sleep and dreams both help memory and insight. If sleep is short or fragmented, learning slows down. Training the brain must include sleep. The rule is not perfect sleep every night, but a steady pattern of enough hours. For young people, The right amount is often more than they expect. Sleep helps not only memory, but also decision-making and emotional control. Movement moves the mind. Exercise increases blood flow and releases chemicals that help cells grow. Walking, running, dancing, or lifting weights build a brain that is ready to learn. Short bursts of movement before a study session can sharpen focus. Over weeks, regular exercise supports memory and mood. The body and brain are one system. Training one part helps the other. Food and stress shape training too. The brain wants steady fuel. Meals with protein, good fats, and vegetables support focus. Sugary highs, followed by crashes, make attention jump. Hydration matters. Even mild dehydration can make thinking harder. Stress is more complex. A little stress can help focus and performance. Too much stress blocks learning. Chronic stress shrinks parts of the brain that help memory and planning. Training the brain includes managing stress with simple practices, breathing, short walks, and predictable routines. These actions calm the body and open the mind to new learning. Memory is not a filing cabinet. That old idea makes people think memory is a place to store facts. Memory is a process. The brain encodes, stores, and retrieves patterns. Retrieval is the act of pulling a memory back into the present. That act strengthens memory more than rereading. When you test yourself, you force retrieval. That practice makes the memory stronger and easier to find later. Spaced repetition uses retrieval across time. Review information after increasing gaps. This schedule works because it forces the brain to rebuild the memory when it is not fresh. Those rebuilds make the memory more durable. Feedback closes the learning loop. When the brain tries and fails, it learns what to change. Honest feedback is information, not judgment. Feedback can come from tests, peers, coaches, or the environment itself. Good feedback arrives soon enough to be useful. If feedback comes too late, the brain may replay errors as correct. Feedback also helps motivation. Seeing progress, even small, signals the brain to invest more energy. Motivation fuels the brain's willingness to train. Motivation is not only a feeling, it ties to identity and purpose. When the reason to learn is clear, attention and practice follow more easily. A goal that feels close and meaningful matters more than a vague, distant dream. Small wins matter. They build confidence and show the brain that effort pays off. Celebrate progress without losing focus. This balance keeps motivation steady. Mindset is part of reality. The belief that intelligence can change helps people take on challenges. A fixed mindset says skills are fixed. A growth mindset says skills improve with effort. The reality of plasticity supports a growth mindset. Training the brain is not proof of instant talent. It is proof that effort and strategy change outcomes. Language shapes mindset. Saying, "I am learning," shifts the brain's response to setbacks. It creates curiosity instead of fear. Emotions color learning. Positive emotions open the mind. They make the brain flexible and creative. Anxiety narrows focus and reduces working memory. Angry states can make people act impulsively. Emotional regulation skills are therefore part of brain training. Simple practices like naming the feeling, taking a breath, and returning to the task help. Over time, these practices change how the brain responds to challenge. The amygdala, a part of the brain that detects threat, becomes less reactive when safe habits are in place. The environment is the unseen teacher. A quiet corner, a well-lit room, and a clean desk make attention easier. The brain notices patterns. If the brain sees a place as a study place, it switches into a learning mode faster. The environment also includes the people around you. Study groups, mentors, and friends can create norms that support training. If peers value effort and learning, that culture pushes individuals to keep going. Conversely, a chaotic or negative setting undermines effort and attention. Technology is both helper and distractor. Tools like flashcard apps and digital schedules can support spaced repetition and planning. They make practice easier to track. Yet social apps and endless feeds hijack attention. The brain evolved for scarcity of stimuli. Modern screens provide endless novelty. That novelty competes with deep focus. To train the brain, use technology with design. Set clear limits. Use apps that block other apps. Turn off notifications. Schedule specific times for checking social media, so those rewards no longer steal focused moments. Small, consistent habits beat rare, dramatic pushes. The brain values repetition. A daily 20-minute focused session creates more long-term growth than a single 10-hour cram session. This is the principle of marginal gains. Tiny improvements compound into major skill. Keep the sessions short enough to stay focused. The brain learns best in manageable chunks. Quality trumps quantity. The practice of reflection completes cycles. After practice, pause and ask what worked. Note one change to try next time. This simple reflection turns raw experience into explicit learning. Writing short notes after study helps encoding and retrieval. Reflection also helps identify false beliefs and poor strategies. Instead of more effort alone, reflection guides smarter effort. Imagery and explanation improve retention. The brain remembers stories and pictures better than isolated facts. When new material links to a simple image or a clear explanation, the brain stores it with more hooks. Teach the idea to an imagined friend. Speak it aloud. The act of explaining reveals gaps and strengthens memory. This is sometimes called the Feynman technique. The technique helps create clear, simple models of complex ideas. Focus sessions are best when they follow a plan. Begin with a clear question or goal. Use a short timer. Work without interruptions. End with a one-sentence summary of what was achieved. This structure trains attention and creates a rhythm. Over time, the brain learns to expect focused bouts and becomes better at entering them. Learning contexts vary. Some tasks need repetition, others need exploration. A math skill often needs practice and feedback. A creative task needs wide input and space to make connections. The brain adapts to the demands. Recognize the type of learning required and choose a matching strategy. The reality is that no single method fits all tasks. Flexibility in method is a skill itself. Curiosity is a potent ally. Questions guide attention and memory. Curious minds notice details and pursue answers. This active engagement changes the brain more than passive reading. Cultivate curiosity by starting with a question rather than a fact. Ask why and how often. Curiosity makes practice feel like discovery instead of labor. Language matters in training the brain. Clear, simple words reduce cognitive load. Complex jargon makes working memory fill up and slows learning. When studying, first create a simple version of the idea, then expand it. This layering helps the brain form a strong foundation before adding detail. For English learners, this method is especially useful. Start with plain terms and then add new vocabulary. Social connection deepens learning. Explaining to others, teaching, and discussing create retrieval practice and feedback. Groups can split tasks. They can hold each other accountable. Trust and safety in social groups let people risk mistakes. Mistakes, when framed as data, become powerful teachers. A culture that treats errors as steps in learning supports long-term growth. Time and patience are essential. Change in the brain often takes weeks, months, and years. Quick tricks rarely last. The brain rewards steady, repeated effort. This does not mean you need to be perfect. Real progress includes plateaus and slow days. The vital feature is persistence. Keep showing up, even when progress feels small. Identity anchors training. When the habit becomes part of who you are, it lasts. Saying, "I am someone who learns every day," helps. Identity shifts the cost of action. An action that fits identity needs less energy. Identity builds slowly through repeated behavior. Each small choice reinforces a self-image. Failure is not the end. It is feedback about strategy. When a plan fails, change one thing. Test a new approach. The brain thrives on variation that still targets the goal. This experimental mindset reduces fear and increases options. Track the changes and see what helps. Creativity grows from constraints and play. Many people think creativity is spontaneous. It often emerges from a space where the mind has constraints to guide it and play to explore. Set limits in practice. Use rules to push novel ideas. Play with combinations. The brain connects distant concepts when allowed both focus and freedom. Balance matters. Training every skill at once overwhelms the brain. Prioritize a few habits. Rotate focus across weeks. Keep recovery time. The brain needs rest to consolidate gains. Overtraining leads to burnout. Sustainable rhythms beat intense but short-lived pushes. Tools for memory include simple tricks. Use anchor points, vivid images, and short stories to hold facts. Link new ideas to what you already know. The brain loves meaning. Pure facts without linkages fade. A meaningful map helps the brain navigate knowledge. Learning in real situations cements skills. Practice in realistic settings, not only in tidy exercises. For language learners, speak in real conversations. For writers, write for actual readers. The brain adapts best when practice matches the real-world demands. Feedback loops extend beyond training. Measuring progress with simple markers keeps strategy honest. Use a small log or calendar. Check whether practice is regular. If not, adjust. Tools that show trends help because the brain responds to visible signals of progress. Mental health and training are connected. Depression and anxiety change how the brain learns. Seek help when mind states block training. Small actions like walking, sleep, and routines help, but professional help may be needed. There is no shame in asking for support. The goal is a brain that can learn and enjoy life. Training the brain is a long, honest conversation with yourself. It asks you to notice what works and what does not. It asks you to build simple rituals and to protect focused time. It asks you to sleep, move, eat, and rest. It asks you to look at mistakes as clues. It asks you to seek clear feedback and to make tiny changes over time. At the heart of training is agency. The brain responds to action. Change comes from what you do next. The future brain depends on the habits you form today. Every short session, every moment of focus, every night of good sleep nudges the brain toward the person you want to become. This is the true power of training. Steady, real changes that feel ordinary when they happen, but add up into great capacity over years. This story is not a list of rules. It is a view of reality. The brain is plastic and responsive. It learns best in focused, repeated bursts, supported by sleep, movement, nutrition, and calm. It remembers more when it retrieves and when reviews come spaced across time. It performs better when stress is managed, when feedback is clear, and when identity and purpose guide action. Practice with curiosity. Measure progress, reflect on results, and change strategies when needed. If you want to train your brain, begin with one small change today. Make a short plan. Protect one focus session. Sleep a bit more. Move for 10 minutes. Notice the result. Repeat. Over months and years, those small choices grow into habits, and habits grow into a mind that is sharper, kinder, and more capable. Train your brain like you tend a garden, with patience, daily care, and slowly increasing skill. The harvest is real, and it lasts. Training the brain also means learning how to handle resistance. Resistance shows up as procrastination, fear, or sudden tiredness. It is part of the real system. The trick is not to wait for motivation, but to design a path around resistance. Break work into tiny steps. Start with a 2-minute rule. Promise yourself 2 minutes of work. Often those 2 minutes grow into 20. Use habit stacking. Attach a new learning moment to a routine you already do, like studying right after breakfast or writing a short note after the first cup of tea. These small bridges make starting easier. Plateaus are normal. After a burst of progress, the brain often seems to stall. This happens because learning shifts from fast gains to fine-tuning. When this feels like failure, many people quit. Instead, change one variable. Seek new feedback. Vary practice with interleaving. Mix different but related skills in the same session. This keeps the brain active and often breaks the plateau. Also, return to basics. Sometimes, improving requires reworking foundations rather than pushing harder on advanced problems. Small course corrections often lead to better long-term growth. Create simple rituals to lower friction. A ritual is a short sequence of actions that prepares the mind. For study, a ritual might be making tea, clearing a desk, and writing the 3-minute plan. Repeating the same ritual trains the brain to enter focus faster. Rituals also reduce the energy spent on decision-making, which keeps more mental energy for learning itself. Long-term vision helps when short-term rewards are small. Keep a simple statement of why the skill matters. Put it on a sticky note. Read it before practice. The note is a small anchor to identity and purpose. Combine this with visible measures of progress, a calendar with checked days, a log of new words learned, or a short audio recording of a skill practiced, all show that effort adds up. The brain responds to these clear signals. Rest is not laziness. Rest and play help creativity and recovery. When the brain rests, it stitches ideas together. Walks, hobbies, and time with friends feed the brain in ways that focused work cannot. Build rest into the training plan. Treat rest as part of the practice, not its opposite. Finally, celebrate reliability. The brain notices patterns. Showing up daily, even for small sessions, signals the brain that this is important. Over months, reliability becomes momentum. That momentum carries through hard days and busy weeks. Momentum is the unseen force that transforms small acts into deep skill. Train your brain with patience, with curiosity, and with a plan that suits your life. Use attention, sleep, exercise, and small habits to shape the mind. Seek feedback and treat mistakes as information. Keep focus sessions short and protected. Rest and variety make the mind resilient. Over time, These realities add up. The brain you have tomorrow depends on the things you choose to do today.